If you love zipper pouches, you are going to love this tutorial. Today's tutorial, we're going to be making 4 different zipper pouches, each one with a different step to elevate your sewing. First one is going to be a very simple zipper pouch. And then we're adding zipper tabs. Then zipper tabs with boxy bottoms. All the way up to this big bad boy, which is a toiletry bag with a handle. All right, if you would like to go see how this is done, stay tuned. Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sandra and I am with Shorty Sews. Today's tutorial, we're going to be walking you through making 4 different types of zipper pouches. These are great for gift givings, as well as toiletry bag, sewing supplies, little extra goodies. You can even store food in some of these for snacks. So let's get started. Okay, so here are the supplies you are going to need for all 4 of these pouches. So here I have 3 9-inch zippers. I have one 12-inch zipper. This is Zipper by the Yard. You're going to need a zipper pull to go with your Zipper by the Yard tape. I have 8 1.5 by 1.25 inch zipper tabs. I have a 12 by 9. You need 2 pieces for that. That's for the large one. You need 2 of the 10 by 7s. This is for the medium. You need 2 of the 7 by 5.5 and 2 of the 10 by 4s. And then for the handle for the large toiletry bag, you're going to need 1 piece that's 8.5 by 5. Okay, so for the small pouch, which is the beginner level pouch, what you're going to need is 1 9-inch zipper. You're going to need your 2 pieces of 10 by 4. You're going to need a pair of scissors, a ruler of some sort. I like to use my little glitter one. And it's not necessary, but it is very helpful to use double-sided tape. This is the tape that I sell on my website, and I really like using this for zipper tapes because it makes it so much easier. Okay, so here is the fabric pieces. This is a Luxe Poly fabric that it does not fray. It's waterproof, so you don't have to worry about lining it. And our 2 pieces here in our zipper tape. So what I like to do first is put my double-sided tape on my zipper tape directly. This glitter clips, they're like Wonder Clips, but they're just glitter. That's what I use for mine. Okay, so now that I've added my double-sided tape on both sides of the zipper, so the zipper itself has a right side and a wrong side. The right side is the side that has the actual zipper pull, and you could see the teeth. This is the right side, and then the wrong side, you do not see any of the zipper teeth, and you cannot access the zipper pull itself. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take one piece, put it aside, take the other piece. Okay. I'm going to peel off the top one. So if I have my zipper down and the zipper pulls to my right and the closure is to the left, I'm going to put this piece, pretty sides together, on the top portion. Okay, so I'm going to peel off my tape. I'm going to take this very easily. What you could do is just fold it in half. And then get yourself some type of a marking tool. And just a little tiny mark goes a long way. Okay. And then the same thing with the zipper pull itself. I'm just going to fold this in half, get my fingers out of the way. Okay. So I can line up that center mark with that center mark. And that tape helps me lay everything down and it stays in place so that it does not come off. If you do not have tape, you could use clips. And clips are very easy because they come off fairly easy. So now we're going to take this to the sewing machine and we are going to sew down across this here. Now you are going to need a zipper foot, and I'll show you how to change your foot out on your sewing machine. Okay, so for my machine, it's a shank foot, so I have to use a screwdriver to unscrew my zipper foot. Okay, and I have loosened it. I'm taking it off. Now I'm going to put my zipper foot on. I want to lift my foot to make sure it is secure. It's a little wobbly, so I'm going to tighten it just a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So there's my zipper foot. So this is a Teflon zipper foot, so it makes it easier when I'm working with any type of vinyl or slick fabric. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, because the zipper head is up at the top, I'm going to open my zipper and take it out away from the beginning so that way I can sew without any problems. So I'm going to start at the beginning. Now right here it's wanting to come up. Just move a little bit out of the way. There we go. Put it back on. It is trying to wrinkle right here a little bit. I'm going to lift my foot up, push that down with an awl. There we go. All right, now we're going to go ahead and stitch this down. My tape is over on this edge, so I'm not going to be sewing through my tape, so I don't have to worry about my needle getting gummed up. And as you can see, I'm putting the edge of the foot as close as possible to the zipper teeth itself without going over to the zipper teeth. Okay, now I'm going to take my zipper pull, because it's going to be coming the way. I'm going to lift my foot, close my zipper, put my foot back down, and continue to sew. You can always use an awl in place of finger just to make sure everything is safe. Okay, I'm going to back stitch right there, lift my foot, and take it off. Okay. All right, so now we have that sewn down, and I'll show you how to do the other side. Okay, so now that we have sewn down that one side, take your finger and just press it open. Okay, just to get it out away from the zipper tape itself. Okay, so now we're going to do the same process with the other side. We're going to fold it in half to mark our center. And you can use a pen, or you could do a little snip. Whatever makes it easier for you. Okay, I've marked my center. And repeat the same process with the zipper. Fold it in half and mark my center. This is a little easier to do before you take the tape off. Okay. So I have marked it right there at the center. So now I'm going to remove the backing of my tape. And then I'm going to put pretty sides touching. I am using directional fabric, just so that you know. The length goes from left to right, and the height goes up and down, just so that you know when you're cutting out directional fabric. Just line it up. Now we're going to take it and sew down this side, just like we did with this side over here. Okay, and this is what it looks like when it is sewn down. Now I am going to top stitch both sides. So here you can take it to the iron and press it down if you would like to. So I'm going to lay the pretty side down, and from the wrong side I'm just taking it on a nice and slow. I have it on the silk setting because this is a poly. Okay. And on this side here, I'm going to go ahead and open up my zipper so I can have this lay down nice and flat as well. Okay. And now from this side, you can also press it. Okay, now we'll do our top stitch. Okay, lift our presser foot. I like to hold my threads off to the side. That's just so that they don't get tangled up. I'm going to go ahead and line up my foot just like there. And what I want you guys to notice, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in for you guys, is that I am starting to sew where my zipper starts. I'm not starting all the way from the edge. I'm starting where my zipper starts. Okay, hold my threads and do a back stitch, just one, and go ahead and just try to make sure everything is nice and flat as I am top stitching. Now I want you to notice that I started and stopped my stitching where the beginning and the end of my zipper is. So I did not sew beyond where my zipper is. This is going to be helpful for later on when we finish up the zipper pouch. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the other side of top stitching. Okay, so now we've done our top stitching, and I'll show you how we do the putting it all together. Okay, now that we've done our top stitching, now we're going to put pretty sides together, but we're going to open the zipper halfway so that we can get to it. So now we're just going to lay the pieces together, and we are going to clip. Pretty sides touching. Okay, and then on this side as well. Okay, so now that we've clipped both of our short ends and our long side, now we're going to stitch down the side, across, and then back up. Now we are going to be sewing right up against where the zipper starts, right here, and coming up through here. Okay, so here's a quick little tip. If you want to mark out your seam, you can. Nobody says that this is cheating. This is a very good tip for when you are just getting started sewing. If you're wanting to have a consistent seam allowance, you can draw it out. Okay. I'm drawing it so that I can see where I'm going to be going on both sides. It is a little bit bigger of a seam allowance than normal, but I'd rather sew it a little wider than not be properly done. So at the bottom, I am going to be doing a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, but on the sides, I am giving it a generous between 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so go ahead and clip that again. Okay, so now we're going to sew on the line and make sure to backstitch at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so now that we have sewn both sides and the long edge, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip my corners as close as I can to the stitches without going through my stitches, and then cut off the excess on each side. A little thick there, just be careful. And also down this way. If you have pinking shears, you can also cut the pinking shears, and it's more decorative for this particular fabric because this fabric is not fraying, so it's not necessary for it to prevent or slow down fraying with pinking shears, but it is good to have. Okay, so now that we have done that, okay, we're going to open up our zipper just to make it easier, and we're going to turn out the bag, the pouch. Okay, we're going to turn it out. Okay. If you have a chopstick, you can use a chopstick or a turning stick to just push those corners out. Okay. And there we go. So now you can see right here that our zipper ends are nice and tucked in. Okay, so now we are going to level up by adding zipper tabs. So what you're going to need is your 7 by 5.5 inch, 2 pieces of that. You're going to need one 9-inch zipper. You're also going to need your 1.5 by 1.25 inch zipper tab pieces. I recommend using the double-sided tape again, scissors, a ruler of some sort, and clips. Okay, so let's get started by making the zipper tabs onto the zipper. So what you're going to need is your zipper, and this is a 9-inch zipper, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our zipper tab pieces, and it's a rectangle. So the shorter end is going to go up against the edge of the zipper itself, okay? So I like to clip mine on either side like so it doesn't move, and we are going to be stitching 1/4 inch down, and we're sewing across the zipper teeth. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go sew across here, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and stitch down at 1/4 inch. Just like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this, push it over, just like that, and now we're going to top stitch right along this edge at 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Just like that. Now, if your zipper tab is wider than your zipper, you can go ahead and just cut off that excess. Okay. So now I'm going to pull back my zipper tape itself and going to cut off the excess zipper tape right off from that. So leave on what you've already sewn, and what this is going to do is it's going to create a new stopper. So see how that's not going to go past that point. Now we're going to repeat the same process with the other side, but we do need to. Okay, so what now we're going to add on our other zipper tab. Now this is very important that you pull your zipper pull and open up the zipper, so that way your zipper head is within the tabs, okay? So what I'm doing now is I'm making sure that my zipper tabs will start and end at the size of my piece. So this piece is 7 inches, so I want to make sure that with the zipper tabs, it measures out at least 7 inches. A little bit more is fine, but I wanted to go ahead and do that. So I just line it up here, so that way when after I've stitched this down and fold it open, it will fit within this piece of fabric. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and sew this down just like we did with this side, flip it over, top stitch, and then cut off the excess. Okay, so now that I've got my zipper tabs on, it's done. So if you want to pre-cut your zipper tape to 7 inches, which is the size of the width of this particular piece of fabric, you can do that. Add your zipper tabs, and then cut off any excess zipper. You can do that as well, so that way it's not as much guesswork. Okay, so now we're going to install our zipper. We're going to do it the same way we did our simple zipper pouch, but this time we're just using the one with the zipper tape. So we're going to find our centers, like to fold it, and find our centers for our zipper tape as well as our main pieces. I'm going to do this for both like to. Again, my fabric is professional, so I am making sure to do my markings at the top of my pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my zipper, my double-sided, sorry, I call it my zipper helper tape, my double-sided tape, mark it across, just go ahead and put it right across from one end to the other. And I like to go ahead and do both sides at the same time. Again, it's going to be on the pretty side, which is where the zipper pull is. Okay. Peel off and then line up to the edge. And here you're going to see how that zipper tab is really going to help get that bulk out from those sides. Okay, now we're going to go to the sewing machine and stitch right across that top edge. Flip it open, press it, and top stitch. Okay, so now we're going to sew down this side here, but I'm going to take my zipper pull and open it up so it gets out of the way. Okay, so I started and ending my stitches a 1/2 inch away from the beginning and the end of the zipper tab, so you can see that. So I still have some on each side that it's not sewn because that's where I'm going to do my seam. All right, so that's what that looks like. Now we're going to repeat the same process with this other side. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and repeat the same process. We've already marked our centers. All right, we're going to stitch this side out using process. Okay, so now that it's all sewn up, what we're going to do is do something a little different today. So we're going to take our two sides, line them up, and we are going to sew down just the bottom seam. Flip it together. And let's not forget to open up our zipper. So let's do that. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew down just that bottom seam, which is the one that's parallel to where the zipper is, across at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, so now that we've sewn it like that, now what we're going to do is we're going to take our zipper pouch and we're going to line this seam up with the zipper tape. So just like to lay that flat, I'm going to take my zipper tape, line it up with that seam, and clip it. Just like so. Do the same thing with the other side. So that's what it's going to look like. Now what we're going to do is stitch across here and here. So we're going to go across the open area. So this is folded on this side, on the right and the left. It's folded. So right across where the zipper tab is, we're going to sew, and we're going to sew here as well. I like to put in a couple of extra clips here just to keep everything nice and flat, because it does want to bubble up on us. If you want to prevent that from happening, you can take it to the iron and iron it down. But at this point, it's not really necessary because see how it holds down very well with the clips. So now we're going to stitch at a 1/2 inch seam allowance across here and on this side. Okay, so now that we've sewn that, now we can go ahead and cut off the excess. Just going to use my pinking shears just to make it look cute. It's not necessary. Okay, so now that we've done that, now we can turn our zipper pouch right side out. So now you see where that zipper tab came in. It reduces the bulk in the seam, and it makes a nice, clean, polished look to your zipper pouch. Here we go. And that was our second zipper pouch. Right, so that looks cute. Let's move on to the next. On to the third pouch, and here we're going to repeat the same process with the zipper tabs, but now we're going to box them out. So you're going to need your 10" by 7" pieces. You're going to need a number 9 zipper, and you're going to need your 2 zipper tabs. You're going to need a marking pen, some type of a ruler or marking tool, some clip scissors, and again, the double-sided tape. This is crucial for zipper tapes. Okay, so let's kind of get started. We're going to start with our zipper tabs like we did on the previous zipper pouch. We're going to do the same process. Okay, so because this one is the size I need it to be, I'm not going to be cutting much of this off. I am going to stitch right along this short edge here and then right here where the opening is. So we're going to go ahead and sew that down, make our zipper tabs the exact same way we did before, but this time we are not cutting our zipper down. So that's what it looks like with our zipper tabs. And this time around, we did not cut off any of the zipper tape because it was the appropriate size. Okay, so now we're going to mark our centers for all of our pieces. So that's including our zipper tabs, our zipper and our pattern pieces. Okay. So we're going to grab one of our main zipper pouch pieces and our double-sided tape. We're going to put that across the top. Okay, on both sides. Okay. So just like we did before, I'm going to have my zipper head be to the right when it's closed. And I'm going to take this top piece off my tape, line up my pattern pieces, I'm sorry, my main piece with my zipper, and line it up against that long raw edge. Okay. All right, so now we're going to take this to the machine and sew across. Okay, so there we go. So again, I stopped and start my top stitching about 1/2 inch from each of the ends. So I'm going to repeat the same process with the other side. Okay, so now that we've gotten this side done, now we're going to repeat this process with this side here. So I'm going to take off the backing of the zipper tape, line it up to our center marks, and then make sure that our edges are lining up. Now we're going to sew it down just like we did before. Okay, so now that we've got that sewn together, I'm going to open up my zipper. Okay, I'm going to put both of my pretty sides together, touching. I'm lining up my corners and clipping. Okay, and I'm also going to clip down this side. So what I want to make sure is to fold down my zipper tab so that it's going in towards the body of the bag. And I just like to make sure that these two ends are lining up. Okay. So now again, if you would want to, you can, there we go. You can mark out your seams if you would like to, or you could just use the side of the presser foot. I'm just going to use the side of the presser foot for this bag. I'm sorry, this pouch. So we're going to go ahead and stitch down one side, across the bottom, and then up the other side. So we're making a U shape with our seam. Okay. So now we've done that. Okay, so now I'm going to trim away from my seams using my pinking shears. This is going to help reduce a lot of that bulk. Okay, so now this is what it looks like. With everything trimmed down. Now I'm going to show you how we're going to box out our corners. So to box out the corners, you put your hand inside, and then what you're trying to do is have this side seam meet the bottom seam. So the side seam and the side seam and the bottom seam are lining up. So I'm just going to take a pin just so that I can show you guys what this looks like. I'm going to push my pin through this one side and have it go through the other side. Okay, so you guys can see what I'm doing. So see how it's coming out the bottom seam, but it's in through the bottom to the side seam? That's what we're trying to have everything line up. I'm just going to go ahead and stitch it. Go like that. So that's what we're looking at. So when we sew across, this is going to create a boxed bottom. Now this is one way to do it. The other way to do it, so we did that on that side, and we do the same thing on this side. So we're going to put our hand in, open up our seam, and we're creating a triangle. You put your pin through that side seam so it comes out through the bottom seam on the other side. Just like that. Okay. So now I'm going to measure. I'm going to measure up 3/4 of an inch and draw a line. So that's a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to go 3/4 of an inch. And the tip of my, so the tip of the fabric is what I'm wanting to line up with this 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to draw a line right across. Okay. And then now I'm going to make that line go all the way across so that it's nice and straight. And that's what it looks like. So I'm going to move my pin out of the way just so that I'm not sewing over my pin, because we don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew right across that line and then repeat the process on the other side. And as you can see here on my seam gauge on my needle plate here, this tip here is lining up with that 3/4 of an inch. So even if you don't mark out the line, you could still measure it against that to make sure you're doing it on the proper size. And that's going to be our box bottom. Okay, now let's repeat that same process with the other side. You want to measure the same distance because that's what's going to give us the same size box pouch on either side. I just I'm literally having a pin right where that 3/4 inch is. So I'm really trying to make sure that I have the same amount of fabric on both sides. It's not wonky. And I'm going to trim away so I don't have any of that bulk on both of my corners. All right, let's turn this out and see how it looks. So we're going to turn the bag right side out. There we go. That is our boxed bottom zipper pouch. So those tabs really work nicely to reduce a lot of that bulk in that side seam. I'm just sticking that out. And it comes out really nice. On this side I could push it out just a little bit more. There we go. So look at that, it looks nice, professional looking, nice and clean, our nice box bottoms, and it stands up by itself. All right, let's get started with pouch number 4. Okay, so now we're on to our last zipper pouch. This is zipper pouch number 4, and we are going to be using Zipper by the Yard. This allows you to customize the size of your zipper perfectly to your project. So I'm going to show you how to use Zipper by the Yard, how to install your zipper pull onto your zipper tape itself. For this, you're going to be needing your 12 by 9 inch pieces of fabric, your zipper tabs, again, the double-sided tape, a marking tool, and scissors. All right, let's get started. So first thing we're going to do is going to cut down our zipper to the size we need it to be. So right now it is exactly 12 inches, which is the same size as our piece of fabric. Now we are going to need to cut this down by 1 inch. So then that way we have a 1/2 inch seam allowance on either side for our zipper tabs to get nicely nestled in. So in order to do that, all I'm going to do is take my zipper that's 12 inches, mark it at 1 inch. It doesn't really matter which side you're doing this to because the zipper pull is not in place yet. Okay, so once we've done that, then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut away at the zipper tape. See that? That makes it perfect for us to just go ahead and cut that right off. This is nylon number 5 zipper tape that we are using. Now I do like to grab a lighter and singe either edge, each edge of the zipper tape that I have cut, just to take away any fraying that may happen. Okay, so we've done tape cut down to 1 inch smaller than your zipper pouch piece. What we're going to do now is we are going to install our zipper pull onto the zipper tape. So in order to do that, what I like to do is identify which side has the higher one or the tallest piece of zipper pull. And you can see that that's this side here. I'm going to crack it open just a little bit. And then I'm going to take my zipper pull, and the zipper pull, if you see, it almost looks like a train, like the front of the train, where this here it has almost like a nose, like the front of the train, and it has 2 channels on either side. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those 2 channels and line them up with my zipper tape. So my zipper tape is facing up towards me. I'm taking my zipper pull, putting on the right side first, then taking my left side and lining it up to the other side of the channel. Okay, and then I'm just going to push it down until I hear a little click, and then push it down. And that is how you install a zipper tape, the zipper pull onto zipper tape. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to add our zipper tabs. Now the only difference is that because these are already to the size we need, all I'm going to do now is just line it up here and stitch across and fold it over. So it's just like the last one we just did. So it's the same process again. We're just building our sewing skills as we go along from pouch to pouch. Okay, so we did that there. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side, and then we're going to stitch it and come back. Okay, so now that we've done our zipper tabs, what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half so we can find our centers. Now that we found the centers of our main pieces as well as our zipper tape, we're going to go ahead and use our zipper helper tape. That's what I like to call it. This is 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape. All right, so again, the zipper pull is to the right. I'm going to remove the backing of the tape on the top portion, take my zipper, line it up to the center, and stick it all together. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and sew it down like we've done before. Okay, so now that we've sewn that side on, we're going to repeat the same process with the other piece of fabric for our zipper pouch. Move our tape. Put this piece down. I like to line it up, center. So now that that's put together, now we're going to go ahead and sew it just like we did the other side. All right, now that's sewn up. Now let's put it together. Okay, so now that we've sewn both sides of our zipper pouch together, we're just going to take this to the side for just a moment because we're going to work on our handle. So for our handle, we are going to need that one piece of fabric that is 8.5 by 5 inches. It's just one. And what we're going to do is we're going to mark a line down the center of this. So because it's 5 inches across, we're going to line up our ruler at 2.5 inches and make a line. So making it 2.5 inches, making a line. Okay. So now you could use your 1/8 inch tape again if you would like to and just do one piece of tape on either side, or you could do a wider piece of tape down at the center. I'm going to use a wider piece of zipper tape. I'm sorry, double-sided tape. And This is just going to make it easier so you're not having to stop and press or use an iron to fold this in half. So we're creating the handle for our zipper pouch. So I'm going to take this long raw edge and meet it up to that line and press it down. Do the same process with the other long edge. And see how quick that was? All right, now we're going to fold it over one more time onto itself, and we're going to clip. This is going to give us a nice sturdy handle for our zipper pouch. There we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a top stitch, and we are going to stitch down this long edge first. And now that's the side where the double fold is, where it came together. That's the side we're going to stitch first. And then we're going to come back and do another stitch down the opposite long edge. That is more of a decorative stitch. You don't have to do it. I just like to do it so that things look uniform. Okay, and that is our handle for our zipper pouch. Right, so now we're going to grab our half assembled zipper pouch, the one we've attached our zipper to. And now what we're going to do is we're going to set the handle aside for just a moment. So we're going to open up our zipper so that we can turn it out. We are going to take our two long edges and line them up together, just like so. And we're going to clip and sew the long edge together. This might seem a little familiar to what we've done before in the past. Just bear with me. All right, so now again on this side, we're going to push those two ends together. Put that together. Okay. So I just like to do that just to kind of keep everything flat. So we're going to sew down this long edge only. That's the only long edge we're going to sew down. And then we'll come back and I'll show you how we're going to make this a toiletry bag. We sew that down. I'm just going to press this seam open. All right, so now that we've pressed that seam open, it's just going to make this next process a little easier. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this bottom seam and center it with our zipper. So just like that. Going to line that up, match it up towards the center. Make sure it lays nice and flat. Repeat the process with the other side. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew down both of the short ends. Okay, so we're going to sew down this side and sew down this side. And then we're going to show you how I'm going to do the boxed out bottoms with the cutout version rather than keeping it all intact. Okay, let's go ahead and sew down each of the short ends. Okay, so now we've sewn down both of these short ends. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to do the cutouts so that we make this into a boxy pouch. Okay, so getting your ruler. Okay, so with our ruler, I am wanting to make a 1.5 inch cutout. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm measuring 1.5 inches from the fold and making a line. Okay. Now I'm going to measure 1.5 inches from the sewn line. And you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, why are you doing that? Why is it not the same? Because the folded edge is acting as a seam, even though there isn't actually a seam there. So we're measuring from here 1.5 inches and from here 1.5 inches to make inside this area measure 1.5 inches. So that makes this a 1.5 inch square. Okay, so we're going to repeat that process to each of the corners, and then we're going to cut them out. Okay, so now that we have marked out all of our corners, now we are going to cut them. I find this is the easiest way to do box bottoms because there's no guesswork as to which piece of the fabric lines up to what. So just for me personally, I find this the easiest way to do it. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So when I open this up, right, if you want to, you can make a little mark at that center, or you can press it. And what you're trying to do is line up this center mark with that seam right there. And if you open up your stitch like that, it all lines up perfectly so that when we are doing our stitching, we don't have to worry about the rest of it actually matching up. So it's actually a straight line that we're sewing right up against. So just like that. So we're going to repeat this same process with all other 4 sides. So I'm going to open up this side here first, and where the zipper closes up to, because that's where the grab handle is going to be, that's where I'm going to insert this into this seam. So what I like to do is take it and push it inside. If you want to have your center marks on here too, you can. Just make a little snip. On each side at the center mark. We're going to take this and we're going to insert it in. It's okay if it's coming up on this side. I'm going to open up this seam. I'm going to line up my center mark with my center mark. So I first like to line it up with the handle piece, like so. Pinch together and then line everything up together so all the centers are lined up together. Then close it. Okay, so now we're going to go to the same side that the other opening is, across the street from it. That's what I like to say. And then I like to go ahead and again match it. So center marks together, clip that, and then again match up the center mark for the box bottom, line everything up, just like that. So we're going to repeat the same process with the other two sides. Alright, so now we're going to together and I'm going to sew these down a 1/4 inch seam allowance and put on tails. All right, so now let's turn this guy out and see how it looks. Push those corners out. There we go. And there is our toiletry bag, all done and pretty with our little grab handle. Everything is really nicely put together. And the great part about this is it goes flat. So when you're not using it, you can store it flat. So that's what it looks like. Okay, so this is the toiletry zipper pouch. Now let's go ahead and reveal our other ones if we can. So this is number 3. This one's number 2. And this was number 1. So all of these zipper pouches fit within each other that can also go inside of the large one.